Hi, good evening, everyone. I'll give it a couple more minutes and see if a couple more students join us, but thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday evening to join us for the virtual college exploration for Pennsylvania students. Again, I'll give it a couple more seconds to see if anyone else joins us and we'll get started. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. If anyone joins us late, I'll be sure to let them in. But good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Keystone Virtual College Exploration for all Pennsylvania students. Just as a reminder and some housekeeping items, you will have the opportunity to sign up for additional sessions. We have 2 weeks left in this entire virtual college exploration program. And if you're interested in seeing what other sessions we still have, you can visit pacac.org/virtual. This session is being recorded and it will be available on the PACAC website along with all of the other presentations. Right now, your camera and your microphone have been turned off. However, you will have the opportunity to use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. You can ask questions. Please feel free to type questions in the chat at any time, and our panelists will be sure to answer those questions at the end of her presentation. And at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Kate, and she'll start the session. Enjoy.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm just going to share my screen here. All right, so good evening. My name is Kate Budzinski, and I'm the Senior Associate Director of Admission at Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I'm also a graduate of Marist College in the class of 2010. And when I was at Marist, I studied communications and music and also received my master's degree from Marist in public administration. I've been working at the college for 10 years in the admissions office, so I'm very familiar with the school and its programs, and even through my personal experience, I'm excited to share this information with you today. And we'll get started. So to begin, Marist College is located in Poughkeepsie, New York, and we are situated right on the banks of the Hudson River, and we're about 90 minutes north of New York City and about 90 minutes south of Albany, the state capital. So we have this really beautiful riverfront campus, which you can kind of see pictured here in the background. Lots of open green spaces, really beautiful buildings, lovely areas to study with river views, but at the same time with access to 2 major cities, which is quite ideal for internships and traveling to the college, which I'll talk more about those things a bit later, but just to give you a sense of where we are. And we are a small to medium-sized college with about 5,000 undergraduate students. And because of our population, we are able to have small class sizes, which is really important to us. And that's a big part of our classroom experience. And we're a liberal arts focused college, so we have a wide variety of programs. There's over 40 majors in total, and they really span from things like communications and business to fashion design and merchandising, computer science and the technology fields, all the way through to the natural sciences. We have a full School of Science with a pre-health program that's quite popular, and social and behavioral sciences as well. Things like criminal justice, education, psychology, and social work. And then of course we have traditional liberal arts majors as a liberal arts college. So programs like English and history and political science, philosophy, and a pre-law program as well. So just to give you a sense of, the variety of majors. And at Marist, you don't have to come in with a major. In fact, you can be undeclared for up to 2 years. So if you're an undecided student, that is totally okay and quite common at a place like Marist, where about 1/3 of our students do come in undeclared every year. If you do know what you want to study, that's equally great, and you can start off in that major right away. But really the bottom line is there's a lot of flexibility academically for you to explore different areas, or to just dive in head first. We do have some graduate programs as well, and I won't spend too much time on these, but I do just want to point out that some of them are accelerated programs where you can pair a bachelor's undergraduate degree with a master's degree in the course of 5 years and receive both of those degrees in 5 years, which is accelerated. So if you're looking to get a graduate degree and you know that that's something that you want, and you want to do it quicker and save on the cost as well, then that's a really good way to do so. We have students coming to Marist from all over the country and all over the world. So as you can see, there's 47 states and 64 countries represented in the student body. And about a quarter of our students identify as students of color. So in terms of diversity, we are definitely a diverse campus in terms of ethnic and racial diversity, and also geographic diversity too. I want to point out a little bit about our student success, which I know may seem a little bit far away right now, thinking about, what you're going to do from college to whatever's next. But I think it's an important thing to consider when you're looking at colleges, because it can really be telling about your future success. And if you come to a place like Marist, your success will be pretty inevitable because of, the student outcomes that we've had in the past. So to see here, our graduation rate is higher than the national average for public and private universities on average. So our students are doing a lot of things, and they're doing it within a very efficient amount of time. And then they're also going on to receive employment, or have graduate school placement, or go to law school or med school or whatever within 6 months. So it's nearly 100%. And I think it just shows that a place like Marist, because of all of our opportunities and small class sizes and all the things that I'll fill you in on, it really kind of creates a launch pad into the future for you. So you would have a really hard time not being successful from a place like Marist. And one of the first places that our students are kind of like cultivating that success for themselves is in the classroom. And like I said earlier, the population for undergraduates is 5,000 students. So the average class size that we have is 20 to 25 students. And the largest class size that we ever have is 35 students. So there's no lecture halls, no auditorium style classes. You really get to know your professors as well as your classmates. And I think that's really important, especially if you want to have that ability to interact with your peers and not be necessarily a number in the classroom. Also, every single one of our classes is taught by a professor. We don't have teaching assistants or graduate students teaching any of the courses. So you always have that top-notch level of instruction. And about 75% of our faculty do have a PhD or the terminal degree in their field. And we really, really value hands-on learning. I would say that's probably the one thing, if I had to describe Marist in like a few words, it would be hands-on learning. So that's one of the biggest things in our academic philosophy. And that really happens across the board. So while we have opportunities like internships and research, you don't necessarily have to wait till you're a senior or a junior to get those opportunities for hands-on learning, because it's integrated right into the classroom curriculum. So, starting in freshman year, you have these hands-on opportunities, which are really excellent and set you up for future success. And I think one of the best examples of that is in our Intro to Business class, which is in our business program. In this class, we have students work with their peers in small groups, and you will be working with a local company to create a business plan for that company. In the past, our students have worked with a minor league baseball team. They've worked with a local restaurant group, a cosmetics company, just to name a few examples. But at the end of the semester, these students are presenting their business plan to the executives of that company, which I think is a really formative experience, especially as a first-year student in that program. So this is not something that you'll do as a senior. This is in your freshman year. So it really sets the tone for that hands-on learning throughout the rest of your college experience. And these sorts of things happen throughout all the majors across campus. And it also happens in the local area with, class field trips and local field work, and through research as well. So that's kind of like the one thing that I would really emphasize about Marist is the fact that we encourage you to learn by doing. And we have a lot of facilities on our campus that support this. So I'm going to point out a few of them here. So this first photo is of our gross anatomy lab, which is in our Allied Health and Science building. And this building is relatively new, very state of the art. And this is one of the key highlights of it. Students work in this lab with real cadaver donor bodies to do dissection and learn about the systems of the body and the organs, and really just in a very up close and personal way. So really getting that hands-on experience and learning everything from the highest possible level. This here is our ESPN teaching control room. We are Division I school, so when our basketball season is happening, our students in the sports communication department or media studies and production can work in this control room with a faculty member guiding them to make the live calls and controls during a live broadcast on ESPN. So our students are, switching back and forth from different cameras to commercial break and all these different things. It's very fast paced. I've seen it happen a couple times in action, and it's very overwhelming, but for the students, this is what they would experience in the industry when they go out to an internship or a job. So to have that experience already under your belt is really valuable. This is the Marist poll. You may have heard of the Marist poll before. It is a national poll, and we are the official polling partner of the Wall Street Journal and MSNBC. And so anytime you hear the Marist poll quoted, all of that polling work was done by Marist students. So you see them pictured here on the screen. These are all Marist students calling across the country on various issues, some political, some not. But especially during an election year, the Marist poll is very active, which is right now. So it's possible that you hear it more often, in 2016 and 2020. But the students, as they kind of rise through the ranks of the Marist poll, have the opportunity to get more involved and analyze the results and kind of see like firsthand what the country is feeling politically or on other issues as well, and getting to look at those results with faculty and industry professionals and politicians themselves and analysts. So it's a really, really up close look at politics from a polling perspective. So especially if you're interested in something like political science or maybe pre-law, this is a really cool way to get involved. And in the past, our students have also gone to the New Hampshire primaries and the White House Correspondents' Dinner too, because of the Marist poll. This is our investment center, which is really heavily utilized by our School of Management students, specifically in the finance concentration. And it's equipped with Bloomberg terminals, which are computers with patented software for the finance industry. So if you're looking to go into finance, work on Wall Street perhaps, or work really closely with the stock market in any way, this is really valuable knowledge to learn at an undergraduate level on this very specific technology. And also we do have students who trade actual money from our Marist endowment in the stock market. And each year they're working with about $100,000 of the school's actual money, which is a lot, but they're very successful every year. And in fact, a couple years ago, the student group that was part of this program, they were so excited and so successful with the trades that they had made so far in the program that they actually invested some of their own money because it was such a positive experience for them. This here is the Collective by Emporium, and this is a completely student-run fashion boutique on our campus. Our fashion merchandising students run this entire store, from the buying of the merchandise to the display and the pricing and the social media and the marketing and all of the operations really. And the fashion design students create a lot of the items that are sold in this store, from clothing to accessories to other items. And we have a great maker space in this building as well. That's often used by the fashion design students to create unique things. I bought I bought many things from here, but I have this one pair of earrings from this shop that was, they were made using a laser cutter in our maker space. So our students are getting to be really innovative in the stuff that they create as well. So when you think about hands-on, I mean, this is the epitome of hands-on right here. Very, very student-run and also very collaborative across different majors. Research is also really prominent at Marist, and it's not something that's necessarily required for all students, but it is available for all students. I know when I think of research, my first thought is in the sciences. And of course, we have research in our science departments, which is very common. But we also have research in the communications field and in computer science and even in fashion as well. So regardless of what you're interested in studying, if you have a faculty member or professor that talks about something that they've done research on before, or an area of expertise that they have, you can approach them about doing research collaboratively, and more often than not, they will be super excited to say yes to that. And I think that, again, is kind of a testament to the fact that we do have those smaller class sizes and a smaller population to allow for a lot of opportunities for undergraduates. So in terms of research, I'll give you a few examples of things that students have done. We have a psychology research lab on campus where students do research with one another as both researchers and like test subjects. So they're kind of getting to see both sides of the research projects. Our cybersecurity students have a lab where they're actively try to hack into different pieces of technology, like iPhones or drones or like Roomba vacuums, anything that has any level of intelligence. And so they're trying to find where they're susceptible to threats and then make recommendations for how to eliminate those threats and make them more secure. So I think that's really cool. And that's something that they do on a regular basis. And then in communications, we have a Center for Social Media Engagement where our PR students or our marketing students can look at like the back end analytics of social media and how certain posts performed and how it affected a company or a brand and how they should adjust their strategy moving forward, things like that. Kind of thinking about research on a much larger level. It's really available across the board. And our students are very impressive in the fact that they've been published, they present at conferences. These are a few photos of our students doing just that. In the upper left-hand corner, those are 2 Fulbright recipients. And the Fulbright Award is given to students after they've graduated from college, but there's an international component where students typically travel abroad and do some sort of research project. So it's a very prestigious award, and we're lucky to have Fulbright winners every single year. And then beneath that is a group of students who did research in cybersecurity and then were able to present at MIT, which was a real honor. And then next to that is just some students from our honors program who presented at the National Collegiate Honors Council. And like I said before, we are on the river, so that brings a lot of research opportunities right there as well. Specifically in the sciences like biology and environmental science, our students are collecting samples from the river, whether it's like this student actually going in the river herself or using our research boat, which is owned by the School of Science. Students go out on the river, collect samples, and we'll analyze them in our boathouse laboratory. So we really try to use our location to our advantage. And then along the right-hand side are a few logos from companies that are also local to us, where students will collaborate and do research too. So IBM is about 10 minutes from us. We have a partnership with IBM. It's been in place for many, many years. And basically what that means is there's a full-time IBM employee who works on the Marist campus, and our computer science students can then do research with that person. It's called the Marist IBM Joint Study Program. And as you can imagine, for technology students or computer science, to have access to that full-time industry professional right on our campus is really, it's really special and not that common. Another example, the FDR Library is about 10 minutes from our campus, and that's a presidential library, which is great for students who are interested in history or majoring in history or pre-law or political science. Our students are interning in the archives there and doing research as well. So again, just really, kind of using the Hudson Valley and everything that comes along with it. We do have an honors program too. Typically the top 10 to 15% of accepted students every year are offered an invitation to participate in the honors program. And if you are in the honors program, you don't have to take any additional classes, but instead you will take different types of classes in the core liberal arts curriculum. So to give you an example of that, every student at Marist has to take a class called ethics. And the honors students typically take a different type of ethics class that's a little bit more specific. So one semester, it was a class called the ethics of food. So they studied the food industry and all the different ethical implications within that industry, from, local sustainable agriculture and farming and the slow food movement and things like that. And also, again, using the Hudson Valley for field trips to local farms and looking at, things in a very up close way. And so that's, I think, the main feature of the honors program is that it allows you to think really critically about specific topics that you might otherwise not have really taken the time to do a deep dive into. And there's also a research component here as well. There's an honors senior research project. And one student who was in the ethics of food class, I think was pretty inspired by that topic, that he did his research project in the same area, and the end result was creating a campus garden, which you can see pictured here in the back, which still exists on campus today. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, like if you're a very cerebral person and if you're looking to have, thoughtful discussions and debates and critical thinking about particular topics, the honors program might be a good fit for you. Internships are really popular at Marist. About 85% of our students will do at least one internship, and these can happen really anytime and anywhere. Most students will wait till they're a junior or senior to do an internship, but it's possible that some may present themselves a little bit earlier, maybe even after freshman year, depending on the skill level required. And then also they can happen on campus. They can be in our local Hudson Valley region. Internships can be perhaps close to home, over the summer, wherever. And one area that we really do utilize quite often for internships is New York City. So I have a little video kind of running here in the background, some footage of our students in New York City, but we do have a lot of students who will commute into the city 1 or 2 days a week to do an internship. And like I said, we're about 90 minutes north by train, and we are about 1 mile from the Poughkeepsie train station. So if you hop on the train there and go into Grand Central, it's direct right into Manhattan. So like I said, there is that option to commute 1 or 2 days a week, but we also have a program called Marist in Manhattan, where you can live in New York City for the full semester and do a full-time internship and continue to take Marist classes online for that semester. So this is a program that is really ideal for students who maybe want a city component in your college experience, but also want a traditional college campus. This kind of gives you the best of both worlds, because you can immerse yourself in Manhattan and have that internship, but then also have a really beautiful, more sprawling campus for the other semesters. And as you can imagine, things like communications and business and fashion and art, but really all majors can benefit from New York City. So if you're studying something where internships typically happen in a city environment, then this could be a really good opportunity for you. We have some other semester-long internships as well that happen off campus. One of them is in Washington, D.C., so it functions very similarly to the New York program. It's the Washington semester program, where you could spend the semester in D.C. doing a full-time internship and living in housing at American University. And there's a student who graduated from Marist a few years ago. She did this program, and she was a communications major. And during her time in DC, she interned with the Department of Education and on their communications team. So she was able to, work with them on their, press releases and their social media and all different sorts of content, but really fell in love with the city and also the political aspect of DC. So she ended up staying in DC after graduating. She had a couple different jobs after Marist, and then ultimately was recruited to be a press aide for Michelle Obama, so in the office of the First Lady at the White House at the time. And she was there for a few years and ran all of her social media accounts and was a big part of her communications team. And so I think that's just a really good example of how an internship can, kind of guide you in the right direction for you, whether that's in terms of location or topic or subject area. For her, it was kind of all those things, and really led her to success. And now she works at the Harvard Institute of Politics. And then in London, we have a lot of students going to intern there. There's a program called the Hansard Scholars Program that is really prestigious, and they take about 40 students from across the country every year, and there's always a handful of Marist students. And I think it's because they really like what our students have contributed every year to the program. And so when you participate in the Hansard program, you do an internship with members of British Parliament and also take classes at the London School of Economics. So those are both really cool, really unique opportunities, pretty sought after. And so those are the types of things that our students are getting to do every single year. So I mentioned London, but we have much more than that in terms of study abroad. We have over 80 destinations around the world where our students are studying abroad, and about half of our students will go abroad at least one time. And we were actually ranked 3rd in the country by Open Doors for study abroad participation. So it really is a big part of our campus community and just, something that students are eager to do. And you can study abroad for a semester, which is the most popular length of time. You could do a short-term program, which is anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And so that's great if you have, maybe a double major, or you don't want to go for a full semester, but you still want that global, immersion. That's a way to fit it into your 4 years. And then we do have some first-year abroad programs, which are a little bit more unique, but they take place in Dublin, Ireland, and Florence, Italy. And these are a little bit different from your traditional semester abroad because it is your entire first year. And so I think you have to be really confident knowing that you want something that's different for your first year. So we totally understand that this is not something everybody wants. But if you are really looking to get out there and, kind of immerse yourself in another culture, have an experience that's maybe a little bit different, these could be really good options for you. And what I've seen also is that for students who are maybe considering a gap year for that travel element, this is a great way to marry that travel piece with, still completing your first year of coursework. So that's just something that I've found to be quite common. But if you're interested in these programs, you can indicate as such on your application. And then finally, with regard to study abroad, we do have a Florence, Italy campus. This is a full Marist campus overseas, and we have students studying abroad here for not only one semester or their freshman year, but also for all 4 years. And there's students who will do just that. They'll go there and earn their entire bachelor degree in Florence, and it will look the same as mine looks from the campus in New York. That's because it is an American degree that they're receiving abroad. And the majors that are offered in Florence are very appropriately offered in an artistic city like Florence. So art history is offered there, as well as fashion design, interior design, art restoration, Italian language, digital media. So things that all are really using Florence as a classroom, which I think is a really cool hands-on way of kind of incorporating that Renaissance city into the curriculum. And then in addition to everything we've talked about so far, there's also a very thriving student life experience on our campus. We have over 80 clubs and organizations for students to get involved with, and they range from performing arts to student government, community service, and Greek life, all the way to more major related clubs like Criminal Justice Student Society or the Business Society, things like that. So there's really something for everybody. And then in terms of athletics, we are Division I. So we do have 23 varsity Division I teams. And we also have club and intramural sports in addition to that. So there's plenty of ways to get involved athletically, even if it's not at the D1 level. But when you have those D1 sports on campus, it really elevates that school spirit environment. So if you're looking for something like that, we can really provide that. And I think it is also another example of a really good balance between, having that larger school spirited scenario on the weekends, but not at the cost of having, 300 students in a lecture hall. So again, you have, the small class sizes, but larger university feel. And this here is just some footage of our newest building on campus, which is our athletic center. It got a wonderful renovation this past January when it reopened. So there's a lot of new spaces for the general student body, but also our D1 teams too. There's a ton of lifting equipment, cardio equipment, all sorts of machines and yoga studios and places to do Pilates and Zumba and whatever. There's a full arena for our basketball teams where they play. And then also there's an indoor elevated track. And then directly beneath that is some 2 full basketball courts, which are used by our intramural sports, and then an indoor turf field, which also will be used by intramural sports too, for like flag football and other types of activities. So just a really excellent student space that we're really excited to have open on our campus. And in terms of residential life, most of our students do live on campus for all 4 years. So this 96% is for first-year students living on campus. But when you consider students living on campus for all 4 years, it is about 70%. So it's still the majority of students. And I think that is because the housing is so nice. The options are really appealing to students. And after your first year, you don't have to live in residence halls anymore. There's the choice between suites, apartments, and townhouses. So for your first year, it's traditional dorms like you would expect. And then after that, you get to choose not only who you live with, but where you want to live. And we do our housing selection process in a bit of a unique way, where when you get to campus as a freshman, you start accumulating points for your GPA and your involvements, any clubs you're a part of, any community service, things like that. And then you lose points if you have any disciplinary situations or room damage or things like that. And then at the end of the year, you choose your housing for the next year based off of that point value. And if you want to live with certain people, they get averaged together. So you can, kind of guarantee yourself really good housing if you are a productive member of campus and you have the same type of friends. So it's a process, I think, that is really, it not only incentivizes, involvement and keeping up your grades, but it also is rewarding for students who are really working hard. But in the past several years, we've been able to guarantee housing for all students who have wanted it. So it's not like students are necessarily at a disadvantage because of this process. We do have a summer pre-college program as well. So if you are entering junior year or senior year of high school next summer, then this might be a program to consider where you can earn college credits from Marist. And it says virtual here because it was virtual in 2020. We are going to be offering both on-ground and virtual versions in 2021 in these subject areas on the screen, plus probably some more. And for the in-person program, students are living in our residence halls, eating in the dining hall every day, meeting people from across the world. Students do this from a ton of international locations and all over the country too. So it's a really cool way to get a peek at college life for 2 weeks or 4 weeks perhaps, and then take those college credits with you, even if you don't come to Marist as an undergraduate. And then this is just some additional information about how to apply to the program, which is all on our website as well. So if you're interested in pre-college, then the website is the best way to find that application. So if you're currently a senior and you're going through this application process, these are some details that you should be aware of. Certainly you can learn about this as a junior now too, but some of these details may change before next year. So just make sure to check back on our website during the application season to make sure that you have the proper deadlines and everything. So currently there are 3 ways that you can apply to Marist. We are a member of the Common Application. We also have our own application, and we are a member of the Coalition application. It is all the same information. We do not have a preference in terms of which one you choose. It's entirely up to you. I would just do whatever's easiest. And then we have 3 different deadlines. So November 15th is our next available deadline and our first deadline. So that includes early decision and early action. Early decision being a binding choice if you're ready to make a commitment, and early action being non-binding, but still gives you the ability to hear back early. February 1st is another early decision option. It's just a little bit later. And then March 1st is our final deadline of regular decision, which is non-binding. So they're all a little bit different in some way. You can feel free to choose whatever you'd like. We do not have a preference in this area either, and we can always kind of guide you in the right direction if you need some advice. Once we have your application, we're going to look for a few other things, one being your high school transcript, and we would love if it included these minimum requirements that you can see here. If so, that's excellent. And if you have, even more than these minimum required classes, that's even better. We do like to see students who are challenging themselves throughout all 4 years of high school. And although there is no perfect formula, we just kind of take a look at the types of classes that you've taken in terms of subject area, but also with the strength of your curriculum. So have you had the chance to take any honors classes or AP level courses, college level courses offered through your high school, anything like that? And so if you have taken some of those courses, that gets factored in right away in the academic review, because we really value that. And it shows that you have chosen to challenge yourself. But of course, like I said, there is no perfect formula. And for some students, those types of classes are not offered at their high schools, or maybe it is too much to challenge yourself with, an AP curriculum, because you would not perform well in those classes. And that's also a really good element of like self-awareness to know that maybe that's not the best choice for you. So obviously we know every student has a different story, but we are going to look a little bit deeper at those things because we don't just look at the numbers. So we're not just looking at your GPA, we're looking at certainly your GPA paired with everything else that we see on your transcript. And we are test optional too. So that kind of really supports the fact that we are having a holistic review process, because we're not just looking at GPA, test scores, and moving on. In our test optional policy, it is truly up to you if you want to submit your test scores or not. There is no catch. It's not a test. We really want you to make that choice. And especially this year, with there being such limited access to even taking the SAT or ACT, it's truly something that we don't want you to stress about. So if you don't feel that submitting scores is the wisest choice for you, that's totally fine. There's no penalty whatsoever, and you'll still be considered equally for admission and for merit scholarships. We do have a few other things that we'll look at as well. So in terms of the whole personal side of your application, this is just as important to us as the academic side, because we are interested in accepting great students, but also great people. And in that review is your essay, 2 letters of recommendation, one from your school counselor and the other from another adult of your choice. And then all of the things that you do outside the classroom, whether that's club involvement, or maybe you're an athlete, or have a part-time job, or have family responsibilities. It all paints the picture of who you are as an individual. And that is really important to us, because you would be a member of our campus community. And that's something that we really care about, is having students come to our campus who are going to contribute and be, really good members of our community. In terms of affordability, we do have three different types of aid, generally speaking. The first being merit scholarships. And like I said before, all students are considered equally for merit scholarships, regardless of test score submissions. And also all students are considered for this automatically. So you don't have to indicate anywhere that you want to be reviewed for a merit scholarship. We'll do it for you. If you receive a scholarship, it will be included in your acceptance letter, and they range from $5,000 to $25,000 per year. Then there's need-based financial aid, which is based on the information in the FAFSA. That's the only financial aid form that we require. And then there's other special program scholarships for things like music and theater and ROTC or Division I athletics, but can go beyond that. And it kind of changes every year depending on the endowed scholarships that are available. So if you do apply to Marist and you're accepted, I would check back on our website in like February or March, just to see if you're applying for everything that you could be eligible for, just to make sure that you're really, getting everything that you can. And ultimately, about 90% of our students do receive financial aid. So there is quite a bit of financial aid available. And that's all the information that I have. So I thank you for listening in. And this is the contact information for our admissions office, plus our phone and text number. If there's anything that you need from us, you can always feel free to reach out this year or anytime in the future. And the last thing I want to mention is that we are open for in-person visitors to our campus 7 days a week. So if you are interested in coming to see the campus in an information session and a tour, that's something we've been doing since July in a very safe way. We certainly do still offer a lot of virtual programming, but if you're itching to get out there and see a campus, we've been offering them very successfully. So that's something I just wanted to mention if you wanted to take a trip up to see us. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Kate. That was awesome. Are there any questions in that Q&A that you see? Does anyone else have any questions they would want to ask?
I don't see any at the moment.
All right. All right, I'm just going to share my screen one more time.
Oh, actually, sorry, one
So
question just did come in.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So the question is about food options, which is a great topic. So we have a lot of great food options on our campus. We have a main dining hall, which is the main place for mostly freshmen to typically eat, but you can keep a meal plan for any years after that. It's really wonderful. They renovated it a few years ago, and there's a lot of different options, including a sushi bar and a salad bar and like a bakery and really anything that you could possibly want. And I think a good example is that I, as a staff member, would still eat in the dining hall and I don't have to. So I think that that's an example of the quality of food. There's also a lot of other places around campus, like a couple Starbucks locations and different grab and go type places too. And there's also a really, really popular Italian deli in our town that opened a second location on our campus just a couple years ago. So that's been like really exciting for all of our students. And it was really like coveted, you know, kind of like get for us because we wanted our students to be able to like have access to that without leaving campus. So those are just a few examples, but ultimately the food is really good. We source a lot of things from the Hudson Valley region in terms of like produce and from other farms. And we also do accommodate food allergies. There's a separate kitchen that you can have swipe access to if you do have dietary restrictions or allergies in any way. So you can not have like foods that are not like kind of like cross-contaminated. So it's very accommodating for anybody. And I think that was, yeah, that was the last question.
Was muted. So, all right, awesome. So thank you again, Kate. This was awesome. And to the students and families that joined us, thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday evening to sit with us on this session. As you do close your window, there will be a very quick 4-question survey. We do ask for your feedback and encourage you to sign up for additional PACAC sessions if you enjoyed this one. Again, the website is pacac.org/virtual. And there you can also check out recordings, including this one, which will be posted on the PACAC website within a week. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you.